It doesn't take long before we find something interesting. A cathode ray tube has a component called an electron gun, which uses extreme heat and a strong electric field to accelerate electrons and turn them into a beam. Okay. I can see the logic behind it. It does use electrons that are needed. The area where an electric force has influence. For example, rubbing a balloon and putting it close to your head makes your hair rise due to the influence of the resulting static electric field. The electron beam striking the TV's screen phospore layer is what generates the picture. An electron gun could certainly work as a lifter. Okay, I see the logic.
解は出たわね。42型ブラウン管が放出している電子が電話レンジの作り出したリング特異点に干渉していた。放電現象はその影響よ。
夜になると電話レンジが使えなくなったのはブラウン管工房が閉まってる時間だったからか。
Wait, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Unless this specific 42-inch TV has a special electric quote-unquote gun that can produce like the necessary electrons for like to act as a lifter. Unless there is something quite special. Wouldn't like any TV work in that sense? Hell, wouldn't the computer? I mean, I cannot say that I know what lies inside a computer. Like especially at the like right now in 2010, like the computer that they use. Wouldn't there be like one of those cathodes? What is it called? It was a cathode. A cathode ray tube. Yeah. Wouldn't there be like one inside like the computer that Rintaro and Taro are using right now? Because they are definitely not using like one of those LCD flat screen monitors for it. Because that will be, I feel like that's something completely different. But for those boxes, like computer boxes that you would normally see like in the 90s and such, wouldn't they have that too? So wouldn't it work with that kind of computer as well? If you turn on the monitor, then the phone wave would work? In which case, maybe there's like a special cathode tube like inside this CRT. The Brown Tube Workshop doesn't have especially strict business hours. It's usually open from around 11 AM to 7 PM. That matches up perfectly with my observation that the phone wave, thanks to the change, only works between noon and 6 PM. Yeah. The few instances it hasn't worked during that time frame can be explained by the TV being off.
だが、ブラウン管がそんなに強力な電子を放出しているとは思えん。
That's what I'm saying, unless there is a special tube inside this one. For what reason?
電子量は強ければいいというわけじゃない。そんな単純な問題なら、セルンはとっくに問題を解決している。
I guess. I see. So it can't be too strong or too weak. By freak coincidence, the 42-inch CRT's electron gun appears to have exactly the right level of electron discharge. So it's pure coincidence? That's the only explanation.
まさに偶然の一致よ。ここには奇跡的にタイムマシンができる環境が揃っていた。
Christ. The stars are aligning when it comes to using this phone wave. That's a change. First is this microwave that I don't even know where they got it from in the first place. Like, working in such conditions that we don't even know up to this point. But we also have like a CRT right over here that acts as a perfect lifter.
いや違うなクリスティーナ。すべては
The choice of Steins gate. Yeah, whatever. Rather than glare at me as she has so many times in the past, Kaisto shoots me an exasperated smile.
別になんだっていいけど。
Mayuri looks up from her costume with a question in her eyes.
つまりね、スーパー電話レンジちゃんを完成させるためにはどうすればいいの？
原因が究明できたなら恐れることはない。
Yeah, I mean, basically we can use the even at night, whenever we want.
あの大きなブラウン管がついているとき、タイムリープは可能になるという解を導けると思う。
さっき中断された最終調整も含めてさ、もう一回は実験が必要じゃね？
そうね。岡部、
なんだ？
もう一度下に行ってあのブラウン管をつけてきて。
クリスティーナよ。それは実に面白い冗談だな。それに対する俺の答えは
You know, Rintaro, like today especially, I don't know why, today especially, whenever you were laughing, like the more you laugh, the more you sound like that one character from Simpsons. I haven't watched that much Simpsons, nor do I care. I don't really care that much about that. Whatever. But, you know, your laugh reminds me more and more of that one Krusty the Clown character that laughs in such a way like you're gonna turn more and more like that.
ミッションインポッシブルだ。
I'm not going back down there. My head still hurts from last time. Next time, I doubt I'll make it out alive.
いいからさっさと行きなさいよ。
Kurisu orders me with a sour look. Like, if I were Rintaro, like, initially I would think, you go down there. But there's also Suzu out there. Daro, you go this time around.
あんたならできるって。さっきだってすごい発見してきたでしょ。
常習よ。お前、この俺を偉大なマッドサイエンティストだと認めているか？
いいえ。
あ、
ぐほー、即答とかひどす。
あ、しまった。おだてて頑張らせるならここははいって言っておくべきだった。というわけで、はい。
遅いわ。
リフターの代替装置が見つかった今、タイムリープマシンは 99% 出来上がってる。
Kurisu's expression suddenly turns serious, but I can see the hunger in her eyes and the flush of excitement on her cheeks. She knows that we stand on the threshold of a new age in science, and she cannot resist the allure of the unknown. She's a true scientist, no doubt about it.
このラボの夢でしょ、タイムマシンは。
Our dream. I've never really thought about it that way. But she's right. My hands are shaking. Not from fear of Mr. Brown, but from excitement.
この俺の夢は時空を意のままに操り、これまでの支配構造をぶち壊すこと。そしてそこに新たな混沌を。
岡部、
Kurisu interrupts my speech.
私は法王院じゃなくて岡部の意見が聞きたい。
She spears me with her gaze. I meet it head on. After a few moments, I feel my mouth curve into a smile.
上等だ。すべて俺に任せるがいい。
With that, I head downstairs. A cracked skull and an empty wallet are a small price to pay for science. Kurisu and Daru send me off with applause for some reason. You know, you two could help me though. Mayuri is the only one who looks worried, but I pat her head in reassurance. When I get downstairs, Suzuha and the chipmunk are sitting side by side on a bench, outside.
ウィス。
You know, that is such a interesting way of saluting someone in Japanese. Like, I don't... It feels like the first time I'm hearing that way of saying hello to somebody. Oisu? Nae gives me a quick bow, then hides behind Suzuha.
店長、さっきのでめちゃくちゃ機嫌悪くなっちゃってさ。今苗と対比中。
Damn, I really don't want to go in there.
さっき思いっきりごっちんされてたけど、大丈夫？
So, note to self, whether Akiba is filled with moe culture or more electronic based, Mr. Braun over here is still dangerous to deal with.
この俺の世界遺産級の価値がある頭脳をよりによって殴るとはな。あの一撃により一体何億個のニューロンが死に絶え、人類の未来に多大な損失を被ったことか。
それは惜しい人を亡くしたな。
Suzuha clasps her hands in solemn prayer. I'm not dead, just my brain cells.
ごめんなさい。お父さんがひどいことして。
It's alright, little one. Lukako. You and Marie-chan don't go places together. You're both lab members, and I heard you were childhood friends. I thought... I'm sorry if I misunderstood. P.S. I did 30 practice swings with Samita. Wait, hold on. What the fuck are you talking about? Did I don't know Mayuri's pants, but I'm pretty sure she's busy preparing for a different sort of festival soon to take place in Ariakey. I mean, not sure what Lukako is alluding to, but okay.
この小動物め、なんと人間的によくできた娘なのだ。
I can't believe she's Mr. Brown's daughter.
案ずるな。俺も店長には迷惑をかけたし、おあいこだ。
Nice, smile slightly at my words of comfort.
時にバイト選手よ。お前に協力を頼みたい。ミスター・ブラウンの目を5秒でいいから引きつけておいてもらいたいのだ。
Suzuha's eyes start to shine.
色仕掛けだね。
She flexes her bicep for some reason. I mean, if you can seduce him with those, you can go ahead and try, I guess.
触ってみ？
She insists, so I poke it. It's just as hard as her confidence suggests. Damn. She's probably stronger than me. But I don't understand what flexing has to do with seduction.
誰も色仕掛けをしろとは言っていない。お前がやりたいと言うなら構わんが。
I mean, if you're talking about your leg muscles and all that, then, I mean, you do bike.
それぐらいできなきゃ戦士失格だし。それにさ、父さんのことを一緒に探すって言ってくれたでしょ。だから私もできるだけ君に協力したい。
And to also continue the idea, biking indeed something that you should do more often, Rintaro. As I said, you are on the run from the organization. You should put your legs to work.
なるほど。ならば戦士よ。任せるぞ。
オーキードーキー。鈴葉お姉ちゃん、お父さんをいじめないでね。いじめたりしないって。
いかにも。
I want to complain that he is the one being mean, but I just said we were even, so I refrain.
苗はここで待ってて。
And the chipmunk nods. When we enter the store, we find Mr. Braun cleaning up the pieces of the broken CRT. When our eyes meet, another vein pops on his forehead. Oh boy.
筋を通しに来たのなら聞いてやる。ただし、賃下げ要求には応じねえからな。
先ほどは失礼しました。こちらも気が動転していたのでね。そこで、謝罪の意も込めて、我がラボを代表し、 ここにいるアマネ鈴葉からミスター・ブラウン、あなたにプレゼントを送らせてもらう。
I don't know if Mr. Brown over here is gonna see it in a good light if the apology comes from somebody that is not at fault at all, whether she is a lab member or not.
店長、刮目せよ。
With a vigorous shout, which in no way seems appropriate for seduction, Suzuha whips off her jacket and...
Yeah!
Oh god. Throws it in Mr. Brown's face. See her bra. No, wait, that's not a bra, but a tight tank top that leaves her midrib bare. Yet Suzuha shows no sign of embarrassment as she rushes Mr. Brown. She slips behind him, grabs her coat, and pulls it tight against his face. Suzuha, what are you doing here? Is this your way of seduction?
岡部倫太郎、今だ。
Wait, we didn't discuss this kind of plan. No, wait just a second. Is this your idea of seduction? Looks like you're trying to suffocate him.
早く。
Mr. Brown flails his arms, trying to escape Suzuha's restraint. There's a huge difference in strength between the two. It's a matter of time before he shakes Suzuha off.
よくやった戦士よ。お前の英雄的行動に感謝する。
Okay, fine, let's go. Realizing that the only choice is to go for it, I dashed the counter, grabbed the remote, and switched on the 42-inch CRT. After about 2 seconds, an image appears on the giant screen. At the same time, the sitting starts shaking. Kalisto activated the phone wave and instituted the change with perfect timing. Fantastic voice acting there. I gotta give you props for that.
また揺れてる。岡部倫太郎、これって。
Did she really take off her clothes without knowing why?
助かったぞバイト戦士。できればあと10秒ほどそのまま拘束していてくれ。
During that time, I escaped from the store. Outside, Naya is following a fake drill procedure, crouching while protecting her head. I ignore that and look up to the second floor. At exactly the same time, Kuriso appears in the window and gives me a happy thumbs up. But a second later, she blushes, shoots me a glare, and disappears inside as if nothing happened. What's with her attitude? I'm risking my life here. What? In any case, the experiment was a success. Yeah, okay. Took me by surprise there that is what we were doing, but... And the 42-inch CRT was the key, as I suspected. Now, how do I explain this to Mr. Braun? I don't know. Are we gonna keep doing this like over and over whenever we try to experiment him? We do this, we do wrestling with him to keep him distracted? I don't want him to kick us out of the building. Perhaps I shouldn't have left it to Suzuha. I timidly peek into the store to gauge the situation. At worst, she's gonna get fired because of this. Because of us.
ちょっと店長、私の服返してよ。
Suzuha is there, fidgeting in her tank top as Mr. Braun glares down at her.
うっせ！これは没収だ。
この変態。
変態はおめえだろうが。いきなり脱ぎ出したと思ったら服を俺の顔面に押し付けてくるとは大したプレーだったぜ。岡部に感謝しねえとな。
Kinky?
プレイとか言わないでくんないかな。キモい。
とにかく今日は一日その学校で仕事しやがれ。へそだし結構。なんなら店の前で客引きしてくれてもいいんだぜ。
Mr. Braun? Really?
前に言いつけるよ。
はは。あの子はおめえより俺の言葉を信じるだろうよ。何しろ俺の娘だからな。
Suzuha?
くそー。
No problems here. Suzuha, the seduction strategy worked, I guess. Mr. Braun, what a guy. Oh. Okay, a little while later, I'm lying on the sofa watching high school baseball. Kumamoto and Aichi are locked in a fierce struggle for the playoffs. Just then, the clack-clack of the sewing machine in the lounge suddenly stops.
オカリンオカリンちょっと来て
What is it, young one? She motions to me while holding the costume. What does she want? I walk over to her.
これをね持っててくれないかなこうしてビローンって広げて
I don't know what spreading like flop
マユシ
means.
今のビローンもう一度
ビロ
ビローンいただきました。
もうやだこの変態。
I follow Mayuri's directions and spread the costume out by the sleeves.
ーン
She inspects it from a few paces away. It's hard to believe, given her usual ditziness. But Mayuri is very serious about her art. And that's why cosplayers value her costumes so highly. The costume I'm holding now is custom made for Lukako. I thought Lukako was against it, but I guess Mayuri managed to persuade her.
ありがと
Mayuri looks tired. She's been working all night. But that doesn't dim the brightness of her satisfied smile.
うできた
Alright?
完成か
クリスちゃんより先にできたよ競争してたんだ
負けたわ、まゆり。お見事ね。
No way. Kariso is also trying cosplay making here? Damn you, assistant. She treats me and Daro like garbage, but Mayuri gets the sisterly touch. I don't see like any surprise in that.
でもこっちももう終わりよ。
Karisu connects the two cords she's holding.
完成。
Celebration is in order. But nobody cheers.
引き分けだね
ああ疲れたおフェイリスタンに癒されたい
Yeah, well, you're never gonna get that, buddy. Never. Honestly, I don't feel like cheering either. And it's not because I'm tired. We worked around the clock for 3 straight days to finish a time leap machine. But now that it is complete, I realized that part of me never truly believed it would happen. I feel my enthusiasm cooling rapidly, the fire quenched by one stark question. What do we do with it? I look at Kurisu. She too seems less than enthused.
私たちひょっとするととんでもないものを作っちゃったかもしれない。
Okay. I look at the improved phone wave and set to the change again. And the biggest change is the headgear attached to the X68000. Okay. It looks like something out of a low-budget cyberpunk movie. Fortunately, we don't need nerve jacks or brain chips for it to work. Let's just put it on and let the sensors do the rest. Yeah, that's quite crazy that you can just put on the equivalent of some gaming headsets on. No, technically not. They don't look quite gamey, but nonetheless, better than implanting like chips inside slash electrodes on physically on the brain.
とりあえず正式名称を決めようではないか。Heavenly Express
電話レンジサードエディションバージョン 1.00
Christ. Does it mean that we are done with the name substitute change part of the name? Is that it? That's the end of an era, I guess. Funwave 3rd edition version 1. Okay.
帽子付き電話レンジちゃん
No consensus.
あんたたちって本当に能天気ね。
クリスティーナは危険か
タイムリープマシン。
Simple, to the point.
これはひどい。
何よ、シンプルイズベストでしょ。この2日間岡部だってそのネーミングで呼んでたし。
助手はネーミングセンスゼロのようだ。
中二病丸出しのあんたに言われたくない。
おお、まさか牧瀬氏が中二病って言葉を知ってるとは。やるじゃん。
たまたまだから勘違いしないで。
Ha, a bald-faced lie. She should just confess to being an ad channel. Kurisu meets my grin with an icy glare.
最終決定権者としてどれか一つ選んでくれ。
Man, such an icy glare. It makes me feel cold. I'm sneezing right over here, Kurisu. Hey. Okay. Whenever the lab is divided on a name, the right to decide belongs to Mayuri.
タイムリープマシンがいいと思います。帽子付き電話レンジちゃんとね、すごく迷ったけど。
Time Leaper. There you go.
まゆしのことだからそうなると思ったぞな。
だから言ったでしょ、シンプルイズベストだって。まゆりはよくわかってる。
I want to object, but it's an unwritten rule not to complain once Mayuri has made a decision.
ではタイムリープマシンで決定とする。助手、全員にわかるようにこのタイムリープマシンの仕組みについてレクチャーしてくれ。
I know the basics, but I want to hear details. Kurisu nods and stands in front of the whiteboard. Oh boy.
一言で言うと、これは記憶をデータ化してリング特異点を通過させ過去へ飛ばす装置。電話レンジには偶然にもタイターが語ったタイムマシンとほぼ同じ機能が備えられていた。リング特異点を生み出し、そのトンネルを通って過去へと36バイトプラスアルファのデータを転送することができる。局所場して、つまり過去のどこへ到達するかについては携帯電話に限定することでクリアした。 D メールと違って今回は電話をかける形にしたから、メールアドレスじゃなくて電話番号によって局所場指定することになる。
Huh. Yeah, sounds about correct. As long as the phone number that we have is similar to the phone number that we have in the past, that is the destination.
生み出されたリング特異点の超重力を安定させ裸にするための電子注入装置リフターの役割は開花の42型ブラウン管がそれを担ってる。
She's explained the basics. Next, she'll explain the phone modification she made to the phone wave instead of change into a time leap machine.
電話レンジには新たにヘッドギアを接続した。これによって側頭葉、正確に言うと海馬の CA3 に蓄積されている記憶の神経パルスパターンを操作するの。
Alright. The hippocampus is divided into three histological sections: CA1, CA2, and CA3. CA refers to the name given to the hippocampus by anatomist Garenjo in 1742. Cornu ammonis, the horn of Amun. Actually, I think this is the first time I'm hearing about the three sections to begin with, part of the hippocampus. Okay. Where memories are stored. The heavy ear records the nerve impulses in the temporal lobe of the brain.
その解析データは VR 技術を用いて神経パルス信号から電気信号へとエンコードしデータ化される。
Okay. Scan memory data, encode nerve impulse into electrical signal.
データ容量はおよそ 3.24 テラだお。
Damn. Like, initially we thought they would be much lighter, like exabytes or something like that. Comes out to approximately 3.24 terabytes. That's still a lot. Actually, quite a lot. I mean, 3 terabytes, that's like 3,000 gigabytes. That's a lot of stuff that you can... That's a lot of space that you can use for so lots of stuff. It's less than I expected. We're talking about the entirety of a person's memories. I mean, at this point in 2010, like, how much capacity do computers have, like, at this point? Like, did they even have, like, a terabyte level space for computers? Or disk drivers? Stuff like that? More than 1 terabyte? I don't know.
ちなみにこのデータにはあらかじめ次元式のデコードプログラムを仕掛けておく。これはプログラムに詳しい人なら誰でもできるものよ。橋田にプログラムを作ってもらった。この電気信号データをネットを通してフランスにあるセルンの LHC へと転送。
Damn. This building has a direct line to CERN for some reason, so we can transfer data at insanely high speeds.
3.24 テラのデータを転送するのにかかる時間は？
直通回線は1本だけじゃなくて64本が束になってるんだ。だから64分割して並列に送ればだいたい45秒ぐらいでいけると思われ。
Man, all the way to CERN. That's pretty fast.
LHC を遠隔操作してミニブラックホールを作ったら、その周辺で生み出される超重力による無限圧縮を利用してデータを36バイトまで圧縮する。
Man. And talking about the uploading speeds, we're talking about 3 terabytes being sent all the way there in 40 seconds. Like if we were to divide it by what was it, like 64? 64. Well, I'm not gonna... Well, actually, you know what, let me do the calculating math right over here. Well, actually, let me do it with my mind. Why not? 1, 10, 20, 40, 50. Like, we were talking about one part having like 50 gigs? Like, dividing 3,000 into 64. Let me see if I did this right. Let me use the calculator. There you go. 3,000 divided by 64. Yeah, close to 50 gigs. Like, in one part. 1 out of 64 parts. Like parallel paths. Damn. In 40 seconds. Imagine like... imagine your downloading speed, like you're trying to install like a game of some sorts, and you can install like 50 gigs, or an update, as infamously we have examples of that throughout the years of gaming, like huge amounts of updates for your games, because that's how it is nowadays. Like having to do like 50 gigs of update in like 40 seconds. That's quite impressive. 3 terabytes is about 3 trillion bytes. Compressing that into just 36 bytes, that's one hell of a squeeze. Yeah, how the fuck they even... I wouldn't even...
圧縮にも時間がかかるのか。
こっちは一瞬。何しろブラックホールの力使ってるからだいたい23ミリ秒でいける。
Yeah. With a black hole, anything can go.
ちなみにバイナリデータの超圧縮はミニブラックホール周辺でのみ有効よ。そこから離れた時点でデータは勝手に解凍を始めてしまう。解凍までにかかる時間も圧縮時と同じ23ミリ秒。
Okay. So, if I'm to understand this correctly, once we compress it, there is nothing that we can do to keep it compressed to 36 bytes. for how much we want, which is not really necessary in our example. We want it to compress so they can go through and then just go on the other end. So we do need to decompress it. So the fact that it decompresses like by itself without any extra step that we need to do, that's pretty impressive.
その間に LHC からこのペケロッパを経由して電話レンジまで戻さないといけない。
So back in 40/50 seconds.
ま、36バイトプラスアルファ程度のデータなら楽勝で間に合うお。
Yeah, I mean if it's 36 bytes, that's... Would it be also... Would it be less than 40 seconds in that case?
クリスティーナ、続けろ。
タイムリープマシン側では起動と同時にカーブラックホール効果が発生してリング特異点が生成されてる。放電現象が発生したら LHC から36バイトプラスアルファまで圧縮したデータを戻し
Unless... No, okay, so... It still needs to be compressed when it comes back to us. So I assume it still needs like 40/50 seconds. While the data is being compressed, we use the phone wave to generate a Kerr ring with singularity. When an electron discharge phenomenon occurs, we take the 36 byte data, patch it in.
リング特異点内を通り抜けさせる。この辺は電話レンジとやることは同じ。データはタイマーに入力しておいた時間分を遡り、過去の携帯電話へとつながる。リング特異点を通り抜けて過去の携帯電話に到達する頃には23ミリ秒が経過して、データは自動的に解凍されてるはず。解凍と同時にデコードプログラムが展開して電気信号から神経パルス信号に戻す。
The decoding program runs, converting the data back into nerve impulse signals.
受信先の携帯電話に到達すると神経パルス信号は送話口から 0.02 アンペアほどの微弱な放電現象となって発せられるの。これが携帯電話を耳に当てている受信者のこめかみ付近に放射されるわけ。
受信者が電話の呼び出しに出るのが前提だな。
でなければ記憶の転送は失敗に終わる。まあこの場合は特にデメリットは何もないわ。コピーデータが消滅するだけだから。
True.
メールではなく電話をかけることにした理由は？
携帯電話が受信者のこめかみ付近にあることでデータを受信者の側頭葉に送り込みやすくなるから。
I guess she indicates the side of her head.
人間のこめかみ周辺には大脳前頭葉と大脳側頭葉が位置してるんだけど、最初に言った通り側頭葉は海馬傍回があって記憶を貯蓄する場所なの。そこに送信者の全記憶の塊である神経パルス信号が携帯電話から放射される。これで記憶の上書きは完了。同時に携帯電話からは前頭葉を刺激する神経パルス信号も出すわ。これ重要。前頭葉から側頭葉へはトップダウン記憶検索信号というのが発信されてる。これは記憶を思い出す時に発信される信号。前頭葉を刺激する神経パルスを放射することでこのトップダウン記憶検索信号を意図的に発信させる。これによって送信者から送られた全記憶を受信者に強制的に思い出させるという作用が発生する。未来の記憶を思い出すのよ。それに必要な時間は1秒に満たない。結果受信者は送信者と全く同じ記憶を持つ状態となりタイムリープは完了。例えば送信者と受信者の時間差が1週間ある場合、受信者は1週間後の未来までに自分が体験した記憶を思い出すことになるわけ。注意すべきなのは意識や人格は転送しないということ。その2つは受信者に依存する。
おっぱいに例えて教えてくれ。
No.
お
Kurisu dissolves into a blushing, stammering mess. Kurisu dissolves into a blushing, stammering mess. Looks like it's up to me to answer Daru's question. Alright, so, you know, I don't want to humor Daru like right now, but I want to hear how Rintaro is gonna deal with this. Like, I want to hear his interpretation. Not with boobs, obviously. Oh, okay.
現在のダルの記憶を小学生の頃のダルへと転送したとする。今のダルは2次元にも3次元にも無機物にも燃えられる変態だが、小学生時代はまだまだ無邪気な鼻垂れ小僧だったはず。
小学校時代の僕はそれは真面目なクソガキでしたが何か。
つまり記憶は今の19歳の変態ダルのものだが、意識、人格はその真面目なクソガキのままとなる。見た目は子供、頭脳は大人な名探偵は成立しないということだ。
Pa. I know that reference.
なんだつまらん。
This isn't like the time leaping you see in sci-fi novels. We aren't yet capable of transferring personality and consciousness. Though, in that anime/manga series, it's not a time leap kind of thing. The main protagonist literally turned small.
携帯がブラックホールとホワイトホールのような役割を果たすから、記憶を送れるのは自分が携帯を持ってる時期の範囲内になる。注意すべきなのは、送信者と受信者は同一人物でなければならないということ。
Okay, you know, we did talk about this compatibility thing from before, that you kind of need to send the memories to a past Rintaro, like the same person, for the memories to be sent in. But I do wonder if it's possible to switch personality, like, not switch personalities, but... Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not as if we're having that kind of episode where people are gonna switch personalities with whatever, and, you know, Daru is gonna switch personality with Kurisu and the other way around, and, like, they're gonna switch bodies and all that. No, it's memory transfer, so... In that kind of case, which I doubt it would happen to begin with, but in that kind of case... Kurisu would have memories of Daru being a perverted fuck and all of his activities that he has done, like this week, but she doesn't really have like anything to do with all that stuff to begin with. She has no use for that kind of information, I guess.
例えば、過去の自分ではなく、親や友達が代わりに出てしまった場合、神経パルス信号はその親や友達に向けて放射される。
Okay, so they will be yeah, okay.
そうなると、親や友達の体に送信者の記憶が上書きされてしまう。下手をすると、重大な人格障害が起きるかもしれない。
Oh. Could cause serious damage. Yeah, okay, let's like I'm making a big mistake right over here in thinking, because we gotta remind ourselves, and this isn't an addition of memories. This is overriding. So yeah, like in that case that I offered about sending memories into a completely different person, those memories are definitely not compatible with Kurisu, for example. Like Rintaro's memories would definitely not be compatible with Kurisu, in which case the damages that it would do to her, I don't think I really want to know. In which case, well, I mean, as long as you know, as long as we do not answer other people's mobile phones, I think we're gonna be good. Otherwise, thank God that this is an example. Wait, hold on a second. What about like the wired phones from the past. You know, that rings. You have like one phone in the home and it rings, and the person on the other end would be like the memories of the future Rintaro. But instead of Rintaro answering that phone at home, you'll be some other person. Like Rintaro be like, hey, can you pick that phone up? I'm kind of busy right now. And that other person, like Mayuri for example, would be like, pick up the wired phone and say hello. And then, you know what's gonna happen? She's gonna turn into a banana girl. That's kind of dangerous. So we have to keep it to our mobile phones for safety, because the chances are like 100%/99% chance that only the person that holds that mobile phone is the owner of that mobile phone will answer only. And I guess in that sense, would it work with pagers though? Because yeah, it worked with emails, but like, could we transfer our memories, convert it, and send it to the pager? Well, I mean, the pager is not something that you hold like near your head, because as Kurisu said, you kind of need that phone to be close to the hippocampus in order for the electric signals to go back into the mind. With a pager, you kind of don't need that. So even if it were possible to send like the memories to the pager, it would not go into the holder's hippocampus. I guess in that case, the memories would just go nowhere. It would just evaporate into the void if it doesn't go like near the person's head. I exchange glances with Kurisu and Taro. I look at Mayuri, but her expression is blank. I guess it was too complicated for her.
それで
I clear my throat. It's time for the $1 million question. Which is...
どうする？
どうするって？
タイムリープマシンの扱いについてだ。
I mean, technically speaking, we have already done it with Rintaro. And so far it has been by mistake, we only did it because we wanted to see what would happen. We didn't offer like any use out of it. I guess the main difference would be that now anybody can do it, maybe. Even Kurisu, if she wants to. In which case, Rintaro would not be the only one who goes through world lines. For once, my assistant has nothing to say. I already know that she fears we created a monster. Honestly, I feel the same way. Because, yeah, again, it's a matter of, like, when we do, like, these roll line jumping the way we did with Rintaro, it doesn't really affect this roll line that we're in. So, like, if we are to look at it from Rintaro's perspective right over here, and Kurisu is gonna be the one that does the time leap, for example, this roll line is not gonna it's not gonna change into anything. It's gonna change for the Kurisu that time leaped into a different roll line, but I'm pretty curious. After a few moments, Kurisu finally speaks.
私たちの手に負える代物じゃないのは確かよ。一番無難なのは研究機関に譲渡して国家プロジェクト扱いにしてもらうことね。
The government, though... I can tell that she is not pleased to have reached this conclusion. She obviously would prefer to experiment with this technology. After all, it's humanity's first time machine. We've finally taken our first steps towards godhood. I'm sure that the nations of the world will pay billions for just one look at our machine. The possibilities that it represents are limitless.
実感が湧かないな。
マヨシーも湧かないよ。
Though, when you think about it, I don't know what would happen if we were to do this, because if we were to... Okay, we hand it to the government and all that, they're gonna find out that we technically well, technically we have, like, if the LHC thing is true, Rintaro has already done this. Like, we already used the LHC without us knowing. In this case, like, if the government were to find out that we're basically using, like, the LHC without their permission, without them knowing, I get the thing that we would be arrested.
いや、マユシは何も手伝ってないからっしょ。
I mean, let alone the possibility that CERN is an evil organization. Whether it is or it is not, I get the thing that we would get like a spanking from the government for something like this, even if we created something genius. Or, you know, means, like, ends justify the means and all that stuff, I guess. You know, from the government's perspective, I guess. Maybe.
そうだったね。
岡部の意見は？ちなみに法王院じゃなくて岡部の意見ね。
I agree with Kurisu that the time loop machine is dangerous. On the other hand,
実験してみたい気持ちはある。
I want to play God. I state my honest feelings. Kurisu gas.
だが実際にタイムリープを行うには問題が多すぎる。
This is unknown territory, not just for us, but for all of humanity.
誰がタイムリープするんだ？
I look to each of the lab mems in turn. Daro quickly looks away. Mayuri's expression is blank. Kurisu stares right back at me.
誰って決めるのは難しい。
僕はパス。
Not a single person here wants the honor of being history's first time traveler. Everyone, except for Mayuri, is probably thinking about what could go wrong. What if the time leap were to fail?
シルンのタイムマシンみたいにジェリーマン化する可能性はゼロよ。このマシンで送るのはデータであって実物じゃないんだから。
Yeah. I mean... Huh. Wait, hold on a second. Because I get the feeling that I have taken for granted, like, these leaps that I'm doing with the Rintaro right over here. Because the way that we experienced this kind of stuff with the Rintaro before, these unexplained moments of going into other world lines, if it's the equivalent of what we've done here in an official way, and it's a matter of memories being transferred from one world line to another, what makes me so attached to the duplicate memories of this Rintaro that goes into a different Rintaro? Why is it that I am forced to be, I mean, for the sake of the story, obviously, like, we're following a story over here, but if I am to think in a realistic sense, what I'm experiencing right over here is, like, I am following Rintaro's memories into a different role line. Why is that? Why is it that I, the reader, do this? It sounds like a crazy question coming from me. Like, you guys are probably raising your eyebrow and scratching your heads at what I'm trying to think right over here. But I am right here. You know, I think this is the reason why before I was thinking that Rintaro's consciousness was sent into a different role line, like the default response. But then later we found that it's just the memories. Is it like his memories alone that make him experience a different roads, Rintaro, like, and all that? Because if it's just memories, then the most logical thing to happen would be that Rintaro would still stay in this same role line, even if we were to duplicate those memories and send it to a different Rintaro. But no, instead, our Rintaro experiences other Rintaro's lives, other Rintaro's role lines. That's why I'm thinking that this could be more than just memories being, well, maybe duplicated as well, but also something else that is being sent that makes Rintaro experience other world lines, because otherwise he would just stay here and nothing would happen. Those memories, those duplicated memories will go bye-bye, but we would not go with them. So it kind of makes me feel like it's not just the memories that are being sent into a different world line for like this experience that Rintaro is going through, this reading Steiner, I guess, for it to happen. Like maybe this is it. This is why I'm so confused about this. It feels like more than duplicated memories.
タイムリープに対する先入観にとらわれないで。まるで意識そのものをカット&ペーストするように思われるかもしれないけど、そうじゃなくてあくまでもコピー&ペーストなの。しかも記憶だけをね。オリジナルが消えることはない。
Yeah, that's a very easy to understand example. But that's not a problem. Time flows in a straight line from past to present to future. At least, that's how most humans see it. This raises several questions.
過去へ転送したデータが何らかのミスでフラクタル構造化してしまう可能性はある。もし仮に俺が1時間前へタイムリープしたとして、フラクタル構造化によりスカスカになった記憶データが1時間前の俺の脳にぶち込まれるかもしれない。
Oh my god, like, yeah, there is that possibility. Like, what if... Because we're talking about all the memories of Rintaro, right? That's a lot of memories that makes a person. Because what happens when somebody... Well, we have a lot of examples of people that do not have memories anymore in them. Like in stories. They basically don't even know their name, they don't even know who the people around them are, that sort of stuff. There could be the possibility of errors, like we would send the memories of Rintaro to a different Rintaro, and then through some error that Rintaro is no longer gonna have memories of anybody around him or stuff like that. That could be dangerous.
それは一種の記憶喪失と同じ状態になりかねないのでは。
Yeah.
かもね。
もしそうなった場合、その1時間後には現在に到達することになる。その時、1時間遡った記憶喪失の俺と現在の俺が俺の脳で競合するわけだが、どちらのデータが生き残る？
理屈で考えれば1時間前にコピーが移された時点で今も変化するから。
And the conflicting current me disappears then.
それはつまりコピー&ペーストではないということにならないか？
わからない。未だかつて時間を超越した前例なんて一つもないから。
D メールでは世界は改変後に沿って再構成された。
I'm the only one who's aware of this, however.
タイムリープしてどうなるかはわからないのよ。タイターが言うように多世界解釈ならタイムリープした時点で別の世界線に分岐する可能性と同じ世界線のまま時間だけを遡る可能性が同時に存在することになる。と同時に現在の岡部が消えない可能性の世界線も当然存在しているわけで、おそらくこの現在はそれに該当することになると思う。
That's only if the many worlds interpretation holds in the first place.
お前はタイターの言うことは信じていないのではなかったのか？
可能性の話をしている。タイターはこの際どうでもいい。コペンハーゲン解釈ならあらゆる状態が波動関数として空間に広がっていることになる。そして観測者が観測した瞬間、どちらかに状態が収束する。